torchlight flickered against the damp stone walls as we descended into the depths of the cathedral's underbelly. The air grew colder with each step, and a sense of foreboding settled upon us like a heavy shroud. I am Alyssa, a rogue with a penchant for uncovering forbidden truths, and I found myself leading an unlikely group of heroes into the heart of darkness. Our motley crew consisted of Kale, a brooding and battle-hardened warrior with a haunted past, Silas, a reclusive mage with a penchant for ancient lore, and Finian, a nimble-footed thief whose nimbleness belied his sharp wit. We were drawn together not by fate, but by necessity, for rumors of the Forbidden Crypt beneath the cathedral had reached our ears, and the promise of untold treasures fueled our desperation. The cathedral itself loomed above us, its once glorious spires now weathered by centuries of time. It was said that beneath its hallowed halls lay the crypt, a place sealed off by the clergy due to the malevolent force imprisoned within. Legends spoke of an ancient evil, a being that feasted on the souls of the living, condemned to slumber until awakened by the foolish. The entrance to the crypt was concealed behind an ornate altar, the stone worn smooth by the hands of worshippers, long gone. With a deft touch, Finian located a hidden latch, and the altar rumbled, revealing a narrow staircase leading into the abyss below. Descending into the crypt felt like a descent into madness itself. The air became heavy with the stench of decay, and the flickering torches cast dancing shadows on the cold, damp walls. The sound of our footsteps echoed eerily, as though the very stones whispered secrets to one another. As we ventured deeper, the oppressive atmosphere clung to us like a suffocating fog. The legends had not exaggerated. The crypt was a labyrinth of forgotten tombs and ancient passageways. It was then that we stumbled upon a chamber bathed in an otherworldly glow, the source of which was a sarcophagus adorned with ethereal symbols. Kale, his hand gripping the hilt of his sword, approached the sarcophagus with caution. The lid, inscribed with runes long forgotten, seemed to beckon him. Against my better judgment, I nodded for him to proceed. With a hesitant push, Kale opened the sarcophagus, and a spectral wind whispered through the chamber. The ancient evil stirred. A cold gust blew out our torches, plunging us into darkness. The air seemed to thicken with malevolence, and the ground trembled beneath our feet. A guttural growl echoed from the depths of the crypt, and before us, the long-dead denizens of the tombs rose from their slumber, their eyes glowing with an unholy light. The undead were upon us, and our band of unlikely heroes found themselves outnumbered in the Stygian blackness. Kale, his sword gleaming in the ghostly glow, engaged the skeletal horde, while Silas unleashed arcane fury upon our foes. Finian darted between the undead, his daggers dancing in the darkness. In the chaos, I glimpsed movement near the now open sarcophagus. A figure, clad in tattered robes, rose from the depths. It was the ancient evil, awakened from its eons-long slumber. Its eyes, crimson and malevolent, fixated upon us. "Foolish mortals," a voice echoed in our minds, sending shivers down our spines. "You have awakened that which should have remained entombed." The crypt seemed to come alive with the malevolent force. Shadows twisted and contorted, taking form as specters that whispered of the ancient evil's hunger for souls. The very air vibrated with a sinister energy as the undead relentlessly pressed forward. We fought valiantly, our blades and spells cutting through the skeletal onslaught. But the ancient evil, now free from its confinement, unleashed horrors beyond our reckoning. The specters coalesced into nightmarish entities, draining the life force from the living and empowering the undead with an unholy vigor. Amidst the chaos, Kale, his once stalwart demeanor now etched with fear, bellowed, "We must find a way to seal it back to the sarcophagus." With renewed determination, we fought our way through the throngs of undead, desperately reaching the now glowing sarcophagus. The ancient evil, its form shifting between shadow and substance, advanced with a malevolent grace. Silas, sweat dripping from his brow, chanted an incantation passed down through generations. Arcane energies crackled in the air as he sought to harness the very fabric of magic itself. Finian, nimble as ever, dodged the spectral claws that reached out to grasp him. As Kale and I guarded Silas, a surge of power emanated from the mage. The arcane energy coalesced into a blinding vortex that enveloped the ancient evil. A guttural scream echoed through the crypt as the malevolent force struggled against the magical onslaught. "Quickly!" Silas shouted over the deafening tumult. "Seal the sarcophagus!" With a synchronized effort, we heaved the lid back onto the sarcophagus, the ancient evil trapped within its accursed prison once more. The cataclysmic energy that had pervaded the crypt began to subside, and the undead, now bereft of the malevolent force that animated them, crumbled to dust. The crypt fell silent, the only sounds the echoes of our labored breaths. We stood, battered and exhausted, amidst the remnants of our battle. The air, once thick with malevolence, now felt strangely lighter. As we caught our breath, Silas approached the sealed sarcophagus. He traced the ancient runes with his fingertips, murmuring a final incantation to reinforce the binding. The crypt seemed to sigh in relief, and the shadows receded, leaving behind a semblance of normalcy. Our unlikely band of heroes had faced the ancient evil and emerged victorious, but the ordeal left its mark. The once whispering stones of the crypt now seemed silent, as though the malevolent force had drained the very essence from the cold, damp walls. As we ascended the narrow staircase, leaving the Forbidden Crypt behind, I couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows clung to us, lingering as a reminder of the horrors we had faced. The cathedral's spires loomed above, still weathered by centuries of time, and as we stepped into the fading light of day, I wondered if the legends of the Forbidden Crypt would remain a cautionary tale, or become yet another chapter in the annals of the haunted past.